I'm Ralph with 13 Peppers, and the question is, what do you get when you have a cranberry, decide to have children with a red habanero pepper? Well, besides some interesting internet pictures, that would be a hot sauce. Now, the cranberry to me signifies the holidays, and since we have Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up here shortly, I thought I would go ahead and create a hot sauce that actually focuses on the cranberry. It's not one I've actually messed with before, but I thought it'd be a real interesting thing to do. So I sat down, I tried to come up with a couple different recipes, and I made multiple batches trying to get what I wanted the flavor down to be on there. And I'm talking about the actual cranberry, not the stuff you get in the can, which is shaped and formed at the can with the little ridges, so I guess it's ribbed for your eating pleasure, but I'm talking about actually real cranberries. Through all that and a couple people testing the sauces that I've actually created, I have a recipe and I want to go ahead and share that with you now. First, we're going to go ahead and add 7 ounces of whole cranberries, and I weighed those right before I put them in the bowl. We're going to add 3 ounces of rough chopped Hawaii Beach Habaneros. We're going to use the fresh zest of an orange, and that is going to be 1.5 tablespoons. Now the orange, when you want to go ahead and zest that, go ahead and make sure that you wash the orange off first. That way you remove the waxy coating on the outside, because I mean you really don't want to be eating that if you don't have to. And then you can go ahead and use that through a grater and go ahead and zest the orange. After that, we want to use a cup of orange juice. Now, this is the juice that we use from a total of 2 oranges that I freshly squeezed. Here is the orange that we grated. Let's go ahead, cut it in half, and we're going to juice it. Now, we're going to be using 1.5 tablespoons or 1/2 ounce of ginger, and I just rough chopped it up here. Now the ginger, I prefer to go ahead and use the whole ginger and fresh instead of using the powder. It brings a completely different taste to you. We're going to be using 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. And I'm going to be using 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar. Now, I have tried to use honey and agave nectar, but the white granulated sugar seems to actually work out the best in this recipe. Okay. Last thing is, you go ahead and just want to use a pinch of kosher salt. Let's go ahead and turn on our burner to high. We want to bring this up to a boil. I just want to stir in the sugar and everything real fast. I'm going to go ahead and cover this, and then once this comes up to a boil, we're going to go ahead and turn it down and simmer it for 20 minutes. Okay. Now, just as a side note, when you are bringing this up to a boil, go ahead and leave it covered. That way the cranberries, since they are whole, once they do open up and crack open, because the heat, they're not going to pop out and actually burn you or pop itself out of the pan. Now that we got this up to a boil, let's go ahead and stir it here real fast. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down to low for simmer. And we're going to go ahead now and let this simmer in here for about 20 minutes. Now we've let this simmer for 20 minutes, and then I've let this cool down for another 20 minutes on here. One thing you do have to be careful of is when it is on a boil and you're letting it go down to a simmer, it will have a tendency to try to boil over, so just watch out for that. But other than that, that's going to be it. But should be cooled down now. Let's go ahead and we're going to transfer this into the blender. All right, that is looking good. Whoop, almost dropped it. God, the smells are incredible of the orange and the ginger. You get the cranberry and everything else in that too. So let's go ahead. Let's give this one a taste. You get the cranberry and the orange just immediately, which is nice. And then you do get the habanero burn and the feel and everything on there too. But it still maintains that sweetness of the orange peel and everything else. So very, very, very nice. So great little recipe. Now, if you're tasting it and you want to actually change something up at this particular point, you can actually put in additional orange peel you have left over, add more cranberries. Just make sure when you do add more cranberries, you put it back into the pot, cook it for longer and then reblend it. But you can add anything that you want to that particular point, but this tastes excellent to me. Now, one other thing that I found out when I was making this and when I was testing my recipes, as soon as I would actually blend it up and everything like that, the habanero had a real crisp bite to it. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. But once I actually had it sit overnight and I took it to a couple other people that was tasting it and I tasted it myself, it actually mellowed itself out. And I think it's just due to it sitting and actually blending with the rest of everything else in the container. But it actually became even better at that particular point, just waiting for a day to test it out. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a container here. Now, I love these little containers for my personal use. You can go ahead and bottle it if you got bottles and everything like this, because this is what I was taking around letting everybody test on here. Looks more like hot sauce when it's in a bottle. But for my own personal use, I actually use these squeeze bottles. I picked these condiment bottles up two for $1 or $1.25 now at the dollar store. You can order these online. You can get them through Amazon, whatever you want. But we'll go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and fill this bottle up. Okay, got a little left over that you can give away if you wanted to, but as for this, put the bottle up here together. All right, and with that, we have hot sauce. The only other thing to do is, since this one only has a half cup of apple cider vinegar, I really didn't want much of a vinegar in this recipe. This one right here is probably not going to be as shelf stable as some other sauces, so just make sure that you are putting this in the refrigerator when you are done, and keep it there, and then it should last at that point in the refrigerator for a good 8-10 weeks, something like that. So with that, that should be about it. I want to say thank you very much for watching the video. If you like what you've seen here, please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also too, if you're interested in some of the bottles or whatnot, I will actually have links down in the description below to Amazon where you can get some for yourself. And then also too, you can follow me on a bunch of my social medias, or you can actually head to my website, which is 13peppersbyralph.com. And there I actually post videos and everything else that I am doing on there and the social medias. But with that, I want to say thank you very much, and you all have yourself a very good day.